All right. Hello and welcome, Twitch and YouTube, to a vintage showcase event. This is the first showcase challenge of season 3. For those of you who are unaware of the showcase series, you get qualifier points by playing in leagues and preliminaries and challenges. You get 40 qualifier points, and you can enter a thrice seasonally showcase challenge. There are 3 showcase challenges, if I said that wrong. In a season, if you top 8 any of the showcase challenges, you automatically are qualified for the showcase qualifier. The showcase qualifier is about a 24-person invite-only special tournament where the winner is invited to that season's Magic Online Championship Showcase MOX, which is an 8-player invite-only, very high EV tournament. 8th place is $5 grand. First place is 20 grand. I was lucky enough to be the vintage winner of Season 2's showcase, and hopefully we can repeat that again here in Season 3. What are we playing? We're playing my Esper PO deck. It is tuned to be for the current meta, which is a lot of Bug and a lot of Hogak and Hollowvine. The things you'll notice compared to other Esper PO lists that I played in the recently is the addition of Swords and Balance to the main deck. These are pretty key cards in the Hogak and Bug matchups. I am keeping a Lavinia and a Karn for the more unfair matchups. And then in the sideboard, I still have an extra Lavinia and Camball for the unfair matchups, a Swords for the same decks that I want Swords and Balance for, Remora and Flusterstorm for the blue, Hercules for the shops, a Sphinx of the Steelwind instead of a Blightsteel Colossus. The reason for the Sphinx of the Steelwind over Blightsteel is it helps you stabilize against Hogak decks and Bug decks and is not killable. A lot of times if you tinker a Blightsteel versus Hogak, it is not enough for you to win the game, whereas I have not lost a game versus Hogak where I've tinkered a Sphinx of the Steelwind. Also note it cannot be DAC'd, cannot be Force of Vigored, it can't be Assassin's Trophied or Okoed. There's a lot of things that it can't be. It can be Swords to Plowshares. It can't be Caracas. So there's a lot of things going on. But I actually think that this is a better tinker target than Blightsteel in the current metagame. I also have a pretty large Karn board, but it's mostly just Bazaar hate. So you have 2 Pithing Needle effects for Bazaar and 2 Graveyard effects with Tormod's Grip and Lantern. You can get all of these cards off of Karn, or you board them all in and you board Karn out. I also have a Lattice because it turns my Karn into a must-kill threat against decks like Turbo Xerox, like Jeskai. Jeskai can't Pyroblast this, so they have to pressure it, or else they might get locked out of the game. A Caracas is in my sideboard for opposing Lavinia decks and Hogak decks. I think that's everything. Does chat have any other questions before we get into this? Dope. Awesome. I think this is where we're going to be, and we have round 1 already started. So, I've used 5 minutes of my clock, as always. Let's begin. I'm on the play, and I've got not a great hand. Not a great hand here. It is a Force, and it is a turn 2 Lavinia, so depending on my opponent's deck, my opponent likes to play Doomsday and PO. This is not a bad hand versus Doomsday or PO, so I'm gonna just hedge and keep it. It's not a bad hand, it's not a good hand, right? So like one of these POs pitches to Force, and hopefully we draw a Moxen or something that lets us repeal into more Moxen to make this PO online. So, like I said, I don't think this is a great hand, but if our opponent is likely to be on PO or Doomsday, I think this is a pretty acceptable keep. Lavinia is absolutely phenomenal in both of those matchups, and Force is pretty mandatory, so definitely leading on fetch land so that we play around the possibility our opponent is on Wasteland, which seems low, but we'll see. All right, Karn pass. So we'll see if we're against Pyroblast or not. I think I still want to jam Lavinia now. Obviously, the downside to jamming Lavinia is Daze. But I think setting them behind on a mana might be reasonable anyways. We could always just jam a top here. All right, I've decided I disagree with my initial assessment. I'm going to jam a top. What this is going to let us do is spin at the end of turn and look for another land so that we can play Lavinia without worrying about days. Because it actually is very hard for Doomsday to counter Lavinia. It can't be Force of Negation, it can't be Flusterstormed. It has to be Force of Willed or Dazed. So if we take away the 3 Dazes and then make it only 4 Force of Wills, it's going to be really strong. How is the volume? Anyone want to comment on the volume? I know we just had music on, so trying to make sure that everything is situated okay. Opponent is cracking in response. Is this going to be an Ancestral, maybe? They're at 6 cards. Oh, they are on Pyroblast.deck. Does that mean they have... Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah. All right, sure. That's really bad for us. I was actually hoping it would be Doomsday. Because I think our hand is much worse versus a Volcanic Island deck. That's a good draw, though. Obviously the PO is a terrible draw, but the Mentor is great. I'm going to definitely let them go to discard here. So it is just Jeskai. Could be Jeskai Breach. Unfortunately, Lavinia is just not great here because of Pyroblast, exactly. So... I even, like I said before the stream started, I like to board out Lavinia in the Pyroblast matchups because it's just not a good use of our mana. So we know we have a Mentor coming, but we have no way to utilize our Mentor. We have no, no way to get a trigger right away. Jeez, okay. I mean, this is good for us because it means that our Mentor is not going to get lightning bolted. But yeah, there's nothing I can really do about that. Dreadhorde Arcanist. Alright, I'm just gonna force this. They have an Ancestral and a Lightning Bolt in the yard. Okay, so we got the force back here. That's gonna resolve, but I'm probably just going to repeal it as a tempo play. I really can't let it ever attack. It's got an Ancestral and a Lightning Bolt in the yard. Interesting. I really don't want to ever draw this Paradoxical Outcome if I can help it, but I just don't know if that's going to be possible for me. Because if I repeal, I'm going to be drawing my Fluster and my Mentor. And then I don't have a mana to spin. I don't really think we have a choice, though, to be perfectly honest. I really don't think we have a choice. I guess I probably... Yeah, I just have to bounce this. Obviously, if they have negation, I just get wrecked, but it's better than playing around... It's better to play around Pyroblast than to play around negation. I mean, we might spin an upkeep just because we don't want to draw the PO and we don't have a way to play, like, Mentor with Flusterstorm backup, so... Opponent is really tanking over this. I wonder if it means that their last card is Force. That'd be really, really bad for me. It's pretty... Alright, well, we lost. Pretty impossible to win in Vintage right now if opponent resolves an Ancestral. Or even just puts an Ancestral in their yard. So, yeah, this is why I don't like the PO deck. People play this nonsense, and I get run over. And then it just becomes who has an Ancestral in their hand, and the opponent obviously had the Ancestral in their hand. This matchup is atrocious. The best way to win is actually a Mentor, but opponent just obviously outclassed us in which cards they drew. We drew a bunch of dead POs, which are horrible Magic cards, and opponent drew all restricted cards. I guess not really all restricted cards. They drew the exact one restricted card that matters. Alright, so What do we do from here? Probably just concede and go to game 2, I would assume. I mean, we had Force of Will and Repeal as answers to Dread Horde, but opponent had resolved an Ancestral, so they just had Force. Why? Because Wish Claw is just not a very strong magic card. Also costs black mana. It's just not that good. They just lightning bolted me for tempo, or for clock. It's interesting. Can't be good for me if they just had no cantrips. Oh, they're going snap walk. That's why. I'm about to say, like, if you find a dig through time and don't find a cantrip for the Dread Horde, it doesn't really make sense. I really just don't think Wishclaw Talisman, like, the problem isn't like picking things up with POs. The problem is resolving your PO is completely impossible in Vintage. This deck plays 4 Pyroblast in the main. Like, what am I gonna do? Alright, so we played enough against this in our practice matches to know what we're going to do here. Where we're gonna bring in Caracas, Camball, Flusterstorm, and Remora. And we're going to take out Balance, Hercules, Opal, and Lavinia. Submit. I was really hoping for Bug, not for Jeskai. Yeah, opposing. Our deck does not deal with opposing Lavinias very well. I could, like, technically bring in another Swords, but Swords is just super narrow as well, so. Our deck is really bad against Lavinia. Okay, we've got an Ancestral hand. I'm in. Sign me up. We're gonna play all the spells, except for the Ancestral, obviously. We're gonna just go deploy the fleet. And then Preordain. We're gonna fetch and then Preordain. I guess they might have misstep. That would have been pretty brutal. I think Jeskai's a perfectly reasonable call for today. I don't disagree. I'm fetching first so that if I like both of my cards, I can keep them both. I don't like both of my cards, but I will take a Mystical. Now we are the one with Ancestral, so let's see if it resolves. Resolves. So can we tinker with Flusterstorm backup is the next question. Mystical on upkeep. Merchant. We can. But maybe we want to just PO. Opponent chose to shuffle. Probably has Flusterstorm. Oh, I didn't actually Mystical. Well, I mean, we have 3 blue, so we actually can't. You're right. What I'm gonna do is, what am I gonna do here? I can Merchant for a Force. I want to. Kind of sounds okay, to be perfect. Well, let's see. If I go blue, black, blue, I actually don't have enough to PO. Our Narset will get at least 1 activation. I'm like a little worried about like my Narset being Pyroblasted. I don't really want to spend my Merchant Scroll on a Force. It's like pretty card disadvantage, especially with a Mystical Tutor as well. I mean, I can obviously go for a Merchant Scroll for PO, cast PO on their turn, maybe. Blue, blue, blue. I have 2 extra mana, so as long as they don't have 2 spells. Merchant for Fluster is pretty useless when it uses all my blue mana, so definitely not doing that line. My question is, my concern right now is, am I Merchant Scrolling for a Force or am I Merchant Scroll for a PO? I'm not really sure. We are running well. I think I'm just gonna lead on Narset and see what happens. Sure. I would like to use all of my blue so that I can. Okay, that's really good for us. Hello. I can PO this turn and make them have a force that they clearly didn't look like they had. Fuck it. I'm in. I'm gonna not pick up the Narset because I can't replay it. Pyroblast, Pyroblast, Root, Stony Silence, Tundra Arcanist. Huh. Through a force. Really good for. Oh, no, they have a Ruby. Hmm. Alright, so if I replay these Magic the Gathering cards, what can we do here? It looks like I have enough to. I'm one short. One short of everything that I want to do in life. Hmm. Yeah, they brainstormed. So I'm one short on Citadel. I could demonic for a Lotus. For a Lotus, I could demonic. Yo is short. I could demonic for a Yogwill, and then I get to do another ancestral and a probe. It's probably worse than casting Citadel here. That's such a good draw. That's a good one. Give me a Yogwill. We're just looking to win the game on this turn. We're just gonna draw our deck and then Mentor Time Walk. I'm getting a Mentor a little late just because I don't want to do so many triggers. Where's my white mana? I have a Mystical for a Time Walk in my yard. I'm just gonna pick up the things that deal damage to me. Alright. It's not necessary to play narrow win conditions. So I can cast as many tops as I have mana, so I don't have to show my opponent any more things. I tried to pitch all cards that were pretty obvious to be in my deck or that opponent already knew about, so that I'm giving up no information. And then I'm killing them in a way that's deterministic. We get to play game 3. Yeah, Karn having Opal on the sideboard was really, really nice there. Obviously, it's not like a planned thing or super intentional. Like, I'm taking the Opal out because I don't think it's very good in the matchup. Like, more Opals than needed. But obviously, being able to get out of the Karn board is really nice. Alright, so we get to play game 3 versus Mono Pyroblast, the deck. No one could have ever seen this coming, mind of a kid. Not a single person. I just continually register a tier 2 deck because I can't lose. I mean, it depends. It's like, this is a what? An 8-round tournament? Like, depends on like what you're playing for, I guess. This is still a 7-round tournament? No. Yeah, it's still a 7-round tournament. I guess like after 2 losses, if you like get 2 early losses, then you're probably dead, so. Obviously I have to mulligan this hand. Alright, this is just how it's gonna be, huh? Why can't I just play Magic? Fuck. Opponent kept a 7 and had a Sapphire. Opponent had both of their 2 of their 3 Moxen. I'm so jealous. So jealous. Yeah, I mean, I would drop at 0-2 for sure. Which is gonna be me after I play against Jeskai twice. Oh, they kept double Moxen. Okay. No land drop. Guess they can't cast Stony Silence this game, huh? Holy shit. Please, I just need mana sources. Why are you doing this to me? I mean, if they don't have a lightning bolt, it's still in their deck. Then we probably will crush them with this cam ball. They hit a land off the top. So fucking jealous, dude. Holy shit. We have a dead Force of Will in our hand. You love to see it. I'm gonna hold this misstep. It's kind of important. Hitting these cantrips is like just not gonna be good enough. I guess if I hadn't seen a land drop, I might have been convinced to hit a cantrip here, but. You're gonna jam a Stony? Oh my god. They definitely have Pyroblast back up! Game fucking sucks. Why'd I have to mull to 5? Just, oh man, it's so unplayable. They hit all 3 Moxen. I'm the 5 Moxen deck. This sucks. Sucks so much. Alright, that's a good draw. I don't have Force of Will backup, unfortunately, but whatever. You gotta be fucking me. You kept Dazen? I don't know, man. It's just such an unplayable matchup. What am I supposed to fucking do when they keep 7 in the Ancestral? Like, can't win. So fucked. That's a great draw, though. If there was ever a great draw, that's probably single-handedly the single best draw in my entire deck. So let's see if it's good enough. It's not good enough. They had 4 second days. Well, it was fun, chat. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, we just mulliganed to Oblivion and had no chance of ever winning. So I don't know, man. So we basically, all right. So am I wrong in saying that every single one of those games was based on who cast Ancestral Recall? All 3 matches were who cast Ancestral Recall. And that's like my biggest problem with Vintage right now. I don't know if like bringing back Mental Misstep would help, but I certainly didn't feel this way when Mental Misstep was around, and maybe it's the London mulligan. I don't really know. Really frustrating though. No, I don't agree. Handball is like literally the only way we were winning that game, so I definitely wasn't gonna put that on the bottom of my deck. Obviously, we just didn't hit lands or force. Like, what am I gonna do? I mean, I hit lands to cast Handball. If I had hit another blue card, what was the other card I could have bottomed? If I instead of like if I bottom Handball, I literally have no plan to win. So you can't bottom Handball. I can't bottom land. I'm already on 5 cards. Then I had what, force blue card. Like what was the 2 cards that I bottomed? I bottomed the Dead Opal and I bottomed what was the other card we bottomed? And I bottomed a Brainstorm. I had no other choices. Like, Preordain's obviously much better than Brainstorm there. Yeah, like, I have no choices. I had to mulligan too many times. Unfortunately, Lavinia is just not great here. I mulliganed. I had no lands. I mulliganed. I had no lands. And then... yeah, I have to bottom Brainstorm Opal here. For sure. And I can't just not cast Preordain. Like, what I need to do is I need to Preordain and I need to hit Mana Source, blue card Mana Source. So that I can blue card for force and then play Mana Sources. But, like, obviously I hit blank. Like, I can't keep Pio. Like, that's not a reasonable keep. I have to find Mana Sources. So, like, obviously this was exactly... I mean, I played this exactly how I was supposed to play it. Opponent just had a much better hand than we did. Like, this is, like, not a reasonable misstep target. Obviously, I'm going to misstep the Ancestral. But they obviously are always going to have force off of their Pyro... off of their... they're always going to have Pyroblast off of their fucking Ruby, so... yeah, I don't... we didn't make any decisions that mattered there. I mean, we had a plan. Our plan was Preordain into Mana Sources and to play a Cannonball with Force Backup. Was that going to be good enough? Maybe not. Probably not, because opponent kept a 7 with the Ancestral. What are we going to do? Opponent had 3 Moxen, and we had 1 that we hit off our Preordain. So, I don't know. But it's just like it's like this deck that's, yeah. Really was just, they resolved an Ancestral, they won game 1. I resolved an Ancestral, I won game 2. They resolved an Ancestral, they won game 3.